Just after 0600, decided to come out to the range on this Saturday of a 3-day weekend because of Labor Day, the Labor Day holiday on Monday. So I figured I'll just come out here while the Rimfire range is not being used for any matches or anything, that I just come out here and do a little bit of practice. Won't be able to do it Sunday or Monday since the Rimfire range is occupied. And well, Monday technically you can't use it because the upper range will be open for use, so we can't shoot here when the upper range is open. In any case, just gonna set up one of the stages for the September course of fire that I want to practice and just set up maybe a couple other targets just for drills. Brought up my 1022 because I wanted to try this out today. I also have my Vudoo, of course, but I wanted to shoot this a little bit and then, I don't know, get some time with it. I'm still debating on getting a full kid 1022, or at the very least getting a kid barreled action. And I'm also just debating on just replacing this barrel, see how this goes, because I don't know, this 20-inch full Quartzen just hasn't been really that great. And all the years I've had this, maybe 15 years now, it just hasn't really shot well at all. So maybe I'll just get another barrel and see how that goes. It'll be less expensive than buying another action. But yeah, we'll try this out today, shoot some ammo through this, and I don't know, just get some time with it. And that's pretty much it. So let's just go ahead and get set up and we'll start shooting. I fired 20 rounds of the Eley semi-auto 22LR Benchrest precision ammo through the 1022. The first 10 rounds are kind of a warm-up just to dirty up the barrel and warm it up. The next 10 rounds I separated in a separate series. As you can see here, we're averaging 1125 feet per second with a standard deviation of 5.1 and extreme spread of 17, which I think is pretty good for a semi-auto 1022. It's just your standard Ruger action with no real modifications to the action itself. The bolt is just your generic OEM bolt, and the only thing special about the barreled action is the full Quartzen barrel. But let's go walk out there real quick so I can show you what the target looks like. So the top paster here is just a warm-up group, and here's my second group, which is actually quite good. I believe this is a 1-inch. 1 inch? Is that a 1 inch? A little bit less than a 1-inch size paster. I would say we're shooting a minute of angle. That's probably a 1/2-inch group, if not a little bit larger. I'd have to measure it out, but I think this is pretty impressive, all things considering, out of this 1022. If this ammo continues to shoot consistently in this, then maybe I won't get a new barrel and I can just shoot Eley semi-auto Benchrest precision ammo through it and not have to worry about any significant changes to this gun. But yeah, not bad at all. I took a few passes at the rebuilding brick by brick stage, which is the one stage I wanted to practice this morning, and that's kind of why I came out here. I tried a technique that I saw on another channel. I think it's 22 Lima Romeo. He did a run of the September Course of Fire. He published it before I did, and I ended up seeing his after the fact. And he did this crouching position that I used, which you saw in the previous segment. And I didn't think to do it this way, but this is how he did it, and I was like, well, I think that'll work. And so we are shooting at ground level here, which is fine. The KYL is at ground level, 35 yards or whatever. But we're shooting at a 4-degree up angle for the 100-yard target, which is not it's not too bad, and you can do it. So from this position, I felt in our range conditions here, I thought in my head it might work. So I decided, after I saw his run, I decided to try it this way, and it ended up working out. But I'm still going slow. I'm barely making time, and one time I timed out by like less than a second. So this is definitely a tough stage, and the movements, you got to be very deliberate and fast. And frankly, it does hurt your knees when you're kneeling on this concrete. So probably what moves me slower. If I had like some kind of knee pads or something, I might just put a mat out here just to help you out here, because it does hurt. And if you kneel on brass, yeah, it's not fun. But aside from the kneeling position here, this does work out. I'm using this. This is the Weed Bad pump pillow, and I'm using this to get enough kind of elbow support on the gun, and I do have enough stability here. And I think what's saving myself time is I'm going to adjust parallax a little bit beyond 35, roughly. That's where I'm going to set it for. And just not adjust parallax for the 100 yards. Because I think if you even touch your parallax knob, you're just wasting too much time. At least for me. I think some people who are moving faster than I am probably can go ahead and do that. Maybe if you move your gun, you get down in position, and then you use this opportunity to go ahead and adjust parallax quickly, then close your bolt on target, then take your shot, take your clean shot, come back up, push off, move the gun, and then when you're getting in position, I guess you can control it and adjust the parallax knob. But I feel like that's a lot of extraneous movements. Oh, well, it's my mic. A lot of extraneous movements. So I think for me, I can get away with not adjusting my parallax. At least that's my personal opinion. I think some people might not be comfortable that way, but for me, I'm just going to forego it. I rather just want to get the gun in position, get my body set, and making a clean shot. It's a 3-inch target, so you should have a little bit of leeway there. As long as you're stable, that parallax won't be an issue. And if you're trying to hold 1.7, for me, I'm holding 1.7 today. I think it could be 1.6, but 1.7, trying to hold that on targets. And then making a clean break, I think you should be fine. I think the parallax left to right, the target's big enough that you won't really matter. You're more concerned about the 35-yard target because you shoot a 1/4-inch KYL. So, yeah, I think I'm going to run it this way. It's just I'm still running it very slow. So, for me, you just got to be on your game, on my game. I got to be on my game. And again, I think what kind of slows me down is like you're kneeling on this concrete. So I may end up putting the mat here for people, or at least you have the option of using the mat. You can do knee pads if you want. I don't have knee pads, but anyway, that's how I'm going to try to run it. I think the prone is definitely just too awkward because you're trying to, especially with a heavy gun. If you got a light gun, like my 1022 is pretty light, I think you can just roll over and do prone. But I think this crouching position is probably the best way. Get your body high off the ground. You can use a pump pillow or a relatively large bag, and then you get a pretty good shot on target this way. Anyway, yeah, credit to 22 Lima Romeo, his video. I think this is probably the better technique. In the last range vlog, I very briefly showed off the Sig KILO6K-HD compact laser rangefinder binoculars that I acquired. And a few people have already inquired, or they've already expressed interest to know my opinions of these when I finally come up with an assessment. And I've already come up with an initial assessment, but I want to save a lot of those nitpicky details for the article I'm going to write. I will say that they work surprisingly well. They work better than the 8Ks, and I think I'm going to contact Sig again because my 8K, Sig Kilo 8K ABS just does not range very well. Like, it doesn't want to return a value a lot of the times for things that are obviously they should be reading. And I side by side, this will range it immediately. So I think there's something wrong with those things, and maybe I'll just contact them. I'm a little disappointed in those 8Ks, but anyway, these 6Ks work pretty well. And I will say that the blue tint that are the Sig Sauer or Sig Electro Optics or whatever their company is that they want to call it, but all these Sig optics are very well known for having that blue tint. On these, it's not bad. So I have my sunglasses off because these are obviously like rose tinted, but the blue tint is not terrible. You know, it's kind of there, but it's not very obvious. You can, if anything, it just feels like it's dimmer. Maybe you're thinking, oh, the exit pupil is smaller, therefore it looks dimmer. But that's the blue tint. So there is a blue tint, but it's not terrible. So for those of you who hate Sig because of the blue tint, I would not hold that against the 6Ks. As far as the clarity, it's pretty good. I will say center, it's pretty solid, but the edge clarity is nowhere. It's not. It doesn't exist. There's no edge-to-edge clarity. You can tell immediately if you like focus, use the center of the optic to focus in on an object, then kind of shift the binoculars so the object is in the edges of it, and you're going to see where it breaks. And it breaks. I would say on the maybe a third of the way out of the circle, it starts to lose that clarity. So that's where you're probably losing out in terms of binoculars here. As far as the laser rangefinder, I mean, it seems pretty solid. I mean, right here, I'm looking at this hillside right here, and it's 1206 yards, 14-degree up angle, 1376. Yeah, so it's ranging non-reflective pretty easily, and I don't have much distance out here where I'm at. That one's 1057, so I have no problem I have no doubt rather that it's not going to have any issues ranging most things, I would say, out to 3,000, 4,000. I'm skeptical though when they tout like the 6K or the 8K, the 10K, it's going to be able to show readings for reflective values, whatever. I guess if you care about that kind of distance, you'll factor that into your decision on buying these things. But for me, I don't really care that this goes out to 6,000 yards. As long as it can do non-reflective out to 1,000 to 1,500, I think I'm fine. For just like whatever, just getting a distance on something. I'm not a hunter, just full disclaimer, I don't hunt. But I just like the idea of a laser rangefinder binocular now, especially since I may start trying to get into the NRL hunter matches if they ever have them locally. I know they had one in San Diego earlier this year, which I didn't get to go to because I wasn't really prepared to go to that match anyway. As far as I could have just done it with the equipment I had, but I didn't feel comfortable going to that match at that moment in time. So anyway, I'm looking into NRL Hunter to try that out. Hopefully, if there's matches nearby, I'll try that, and that's why I'm interested in this. But anyway, the 6K, not bad, especially the price I got them for. I think the retail is about $1,100 or $1,200 on this unit. This is 8x32, and in my soon-to-be released review, when I publish that, I will discuss whether or not I think this is a good value. But anyway, not bad, I think, right now initially. I'm not too disappointed in it, especially compared to my 8Ks. But we'll see how these go. I'm going to do a little bit more testing with it. I'm going to try to get out to an area where I can stretch it out a little bit in terms of distance finding. And then I'll figure out some ways to do some more clarity tests, resolution tests, or whatever. Just ad hoc. I'm not like a professional, optics, analyzer or analyst. So I'll just give you my best impressions of it as a Joe Schmo regular user. Anyway, let's go ahead and keep shooting. I'm going to fire a few more mags off before we get out of here. It's already 8 o'clock and it's getting pretty warm out here. Idiot. I used to be pretty strict on cleaning my guns. I would clean my rifles before I left the range, like after I'm done shooting, before I leave the range. But I just got lazier as I got older, and I just don't do that anymore, and I usually clean at home. However, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean, just quickly show like generic cleaning that I do. Because a lot of people ask me, and I really don't want to record a cleaning video because there's so many out there, and it's not really much to say on cleaning a gun. And there's already been plenty of articles and stuff written on how people clean rimfire. But here, I'll just show you what I do, and it's a nice warm morning, so I figure it'd be nice to just go ahead and do that while the barrel's relatively warm. It's easier to clean. Anyway, standard bore guide, and for those of you who haven't read my Masterpiece Arms Matrix Pro review, the cheek riser blocks the bore guide and the rod, and so you have to remove it. And it's best if you get the quick release cheek riser, which I end up putting the adapter on there. Just dropping your bore guide. I already cleaned the inside with a paper towel, just wiped the inside of the action as best I could. I use a Bortec 44-inch rod, and for those of you who are looking for a cheap way to carry your cleaning rods, just use PVC pipe. Although there is the mantra that you're not supposed to leave your rods like this, rested down, even though I do it, because supposedly if you leave it like this, it'll warp. You're supposed to hang them. And I used to hang my rods on the wall, but I just ended up stopped doing that because I keep them in this PVC pipe. And maybe I should start doing it again because of that. Anyway, it's kind of loud here, so hopefully you can hear me. It is a busy Saturday. I tend to just use 1 1/8 inch square patches. These are Pro Shot patches, and they work relatively well for rimfire with the jag that I'm using. And I think I'm using a Bortec jag. I'm not using a Bortec aluminum jag. Anyway, I just generally use a 1 1/8. You might not want to use the Butch's triple twill. I used to be a huge fan of triple twill patches, but they tend to be pretty thick for rimfire. It's fine for center fire, but not for rimfire. And as far as my what I'm using to clean, as I mentioned in previous vlogs, the C4 carbon cleaner. I got these little bottles from Amazon, and they're good to just put the C4 cleaner because the dispenser on these things gets kind of messy if you want to control it. And so these containers, and I'll put a link in the video description, these from Amazon. But they work pretty well, and I just drop it on here. It's nice to just get fine control with several drops on here. Generally, you have a port here on the back of the bore guide too, so you can also, insert your cleaner there, your solvent. Anyway, once I do that, I just run it through, and I hear tons of people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't pull your jag out." How far you put your jag out through the muzzle, and you'll wear out the crown. I don't know. I frankly don't subscribe to that. I used to think, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." But then I realized it's probably not too big of a deal. As long as you're not like constantly sandpapering or just grinding your jag against the crown, you should be fine. I mean, it's centered enough with the patch. Then if you pull it out softly, this aluminum jag it's just so soft, or the brass jag is so soft that it won't really matter. That's just my opinion. And I mean, people will disagree with me, but whatever. Anyway, so I ran a patch through, got that down, and I'm just gonna do this a few more times. Yeah, it's pretty noisy. I think there's a match going on too. There might be a cowboy action match, maybe. Anyway, then I'm just going to do this several times just to get it relatively clean, so it's not coming out completely black. And it shouldn't take very many passes to be on with C4 carbon cleaner. And also, you should probably want to wipe your rod down after every pass. But I'm going to do this a few more times, and I'll just time lapse or skip through this on the video. After I've got it relatively coming out not very gray, what I'll end up doing is letting the barrel soak. Right now it's got a film of C4 carbon cleaner. And so what I'll do is I'll wet this bore mop here, I'll take out the bore guide,
And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the 22-inch bore mop, or 22 cal bore mop into the chamber. And I'm just going to let it's soaked with C4 carbon cleaner. I'm going to put it into the chamber, about into the rifling a little bit. I'm just going to rub it in there just to wipe out the chamber, and then get it starting into the rifling. And once it's in there, I'm going to let that kind of just sit there. And so when I'm at home, I'll let that sit overnight, depending on how many rounds I've been through it. But I'm going to go ahead and let this sit, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning up targets, and I'll come back, and then we'll finish off the bore cleaning. Quite some time has passed while this has been soaking in here in the chamber. Went to clean up targets, and incidentally, Brittany and Travis Ishida of NRL came by. They were actually over on the main line, and they found out I was over here at the Rimfire range, so they decided to come out and say hello. So I was just talking to them for a few minutes. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and just remove this bore mop in here. It's got this weird green color to it. That's just the color of what ends up happening with the C4 carbon cleaner after it just sets in on the cotton or whatever. It's not like I don't think it's an indicator of any kind of a chemical reaction to anything in the bore. However, we'll go ahead and clean up the barrel, because it now has quite a bit of solvent in there still. So we're going to go ahead and just quickly run. I like to run a wet patch still, so we'll just run a wet patch through here, and then and I need to find my bore guide. We'll drop that in there and go ahead and put that through. It should still, it's coming out relatively clean. Yeah, it's pretty white right there. The patch is not dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and I'd like to do another wet patch just to be sure. So what I'm going to do, well, actually we'll do a dry patch to wet patch and dry patch, and we'll be done. But so we'll go and do dry patch, and I'll just go ahead and turn that in there, push that through. It's going to come out relatively clean. Yeah, it's pretty clean. And we'll wet patch this one more time, and then one more dry patch, and we'll call it a day. So once I do this, it's going to be pretty saturated as far as this patch is concerned. It's going to come out relatively. Oh, I forgot to clean the crown here, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe the crown here with this wet patch that came out. I'm probably going to put a couple more wet patches, because I probably pushed some carbon back into the bore a little bit. So let me do that now. Sorry, this is taking so long. It's boring to watch people clean, which is why I don't like to do videos on this. I mean, granted, I can edit this video, but to cut out a lot of these procedures. But anyway, so good there. Man, lots of bugs out here too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put a dry patch through, and we should be good. So this is clean. Pretty clean as far as I'm concerned. I don't use brushes. I tend not to use brushes in Rimfire unless it's like really bad, if I think there's leading in there. But right now we only use C4 carbon cleaner. We didn't remove the lead. Carbon cleaner doesn't really remove lead. I'm sure it removes some lead deposits, but it doesn't dissolve anything. And you're pretty much attacking the carbon. So right now it's a brushless procedure here. We're relatively clean, and I would consider this ready to go for shooting generally in another match. Should be no problems here. And then what you kind of want to do is, so I didn't bring any oil with me, but what I'm going to do is oil this. I just put oil on here to get this back up to par in terms of the bolt, but it's already smooth because there's still residual oil in here, but we're good. But I'll clean this when I get home, a little bit more detail, but as far as the bolt's concerned. But that's it as far as the bore. And you can do this at home. It doesn't take very long to do the C4 carbon cleaner, Vortex C4 carbon cleaner. Maybe it takes less than a dozen patches if you want to be really clean about it, but most guys only do a few and call it a day. But that's just sort of my cleaning regimen. Keep in mind though, right, we're gonna still have to, you're gonna have to warm up this barrel the next time it goes out. Probably 20 rounds will be enough to settle it down. 10 rounds, one full mag for sure, and then maybe another mag just to verify. But 20 rounds, you're back into the game as far as the barrel being seasoned. But anyway, that's kind of it for my cleaning. It's very boring and uneventful, which is why I don't really talk about cleaning too much. But that's it for me. So we're gonna go ahead and pack this all up and then get ready to get out of here. Still got actually one more target, my paper target, and then put in the KILO and then the bricks. Recording this outro inside my vehicle because it's just too hot outside. I packed up everything, about to get out of here. I had to change into shorts because it's so hot, and I don't shoot in shorts. I never do that. I think it's a safety. I think that's a safety issue. Shooting in shorts, to be honest, I know a lot of people don't care. Same with flip flops. I don't know why you do that, but I know always closed toe shoes, boots, and pants, jeans, or something when you're shooting, especially if you're shooting from positions. If you're shooting bench, I guess it doesn't really matter, but if you're shooting positional, I mean, even just prone, I would, wear pants just to be safe. Protect yourself from whatnot. Anyway, I guess I learned a little bit about the rebuilding brick by brick, so I think I know how I'm going to approach that. It's just you still need to be fast on the stage. You need to be swift and efficient. Otherwise, you're going to time out. As far as my 10-22, I just wanted to zero it up again or just confirm a group. And I think that gun shoots pretty well. I didn't test it 100 yards in terms of group sizes. Actually, I did shoot a group off tripod, which I didn't show it. Actually, the target's in the back, but off a tripod, it held within a 2-inch. I mean, that's all me, right? It held about 1.5 inches. I threw some rounds, but that's not bad at 100 yards off a tripod. You probably shoot better than that. But anyway, I think that 10-22 shoots pretty well. I think it's 1.5. It needed 1.5 to 100 with that ammo, 1125 feet per second. I know one of the competitors last month who usually shoots a Vudoo shot a 10-22. It didn't do too well. But now I kind of want to shoot the 10-22 to see how well it is in a match. But I won't shoot the next match because I just need to practice with it. The cadence a little bit more before I decide to shoot in a match. But I think my 10-22 might shoot okay. Anyway, that's it for today. September 3rd, Saturday here at the West End Gun Club. Hopefully everyone could have a good Labor Day weekend. If you're traveling, have safe travels. Otherwise, if you're just staying home, just enjoy your time, your relaxation time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vlog.